6 o'clock here on your Tuesday. Welcome to Up with KREM. I'm Tim Pham.
And I'm Channing Curtis. Well, of course, let's get you ready for the day ahead by starting off with a look at the forecast with meteorologist Thomas Patrick on this Tuesday. Thomas, it was a bit of a rainy kind of weekend, a little bit of a rainy Monday, but today, skies are clear, right?
Yeah,
goodness.
Doesn't that
and
look...
no lightning.
Yeah, no lightning, no rain. Barely even any cloud cover out there this morning. We have seen some beautiful sunrise pictures this morning, albeit a slightly hazy sunrise, but it's the haze that's going to be the worst of it for the weather pattern for today. So just enjoy those calmer conditions that we have for this Tuesday. And another good thing to report is that our humidity values are dropping. I like to use this value, the dew point, which is more like an absolute humidity value as opposed to relative humidity. Yeah, that has been dropping in the last 24 hours because it was above 60 yesterday, which was quite humid for yesterday, almost resembled that of the Great Plains humidity. But today, still 92 degrees, but mostly sunny skies, and should be a fairly calm day overall.
As you wake up and head out the door this morning, we want to help you prepare for your morning commute. Here's a live look at I-90 in Argonne here at 6:02. Right now, traffic is moving smoothly, but you can see starting to slightly pick up just a little bit, but no major incidents to report, which is good news this morning. We'll keep you updated if anything changes here on Up with KREM.
It is election day here in Washington state, and soon we'll know which candidates are moving on to the general election in November. Now here on Up with KREM, we're bringing you everything you need to know with our team coverage for tonight's primary. So here in studio, we'll be tracking 3 big races worth knowing about, plus voter security and turnout ahead of the count.
And Brandon T. Jones is at the Spokane County Elections Office to break down how the primary election works. And then, Brandon, what else do voters need to know? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Tim. Channing. Well, for starters, what they need to know is that there's several drop box locations around Spokane County, including right here at the General Elections Office, right in front of the building. So coming up in just a few minutes, I'll make sure we get this dropped off. But there's plenty of those sites around Spokane. All you have to do is go ahead and go onto the General Elections Office website for Spokane, and you can find they have a list of all of those different locations with some of the ones that are closer to you, making it a little bit easier to make sure you do your due diligence and drop off those ballots. But if you're mailing in your ballot, all you need to know is that you need to make sure it is postmarked by today once you get it inside of the mail, and then they'll make sure they get all of those votes counted, and the process will be certified by August 20th. So that's something that you need to know in terms of today. Some other information that you need to know is that you can still register today up until 8 p.m. to make sure you get your vote cast, make sure you can get your vote counted. You can still make sure you get all of that information and get registered by 8 p.m. today, so you could go ahead and vote. As for other election need to know information, the primary includes races focused on state and county level elections. Whichever candidate receives the most votes during this primary election will go on to run in the general election in November. Sample ballots can also be found on the county elections website, and unofficial election results will be available around 8:15 p.m. tonight. We'll talk about that certification process, how they get it certified by August 20th, coming up in the next half hour. But for now, reporting live, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
It is a big election year for the Evergreen State. Washington will soon see a new governor, as incumbent Jay Inslee announced that he would not seek another term.
So several candidates have thrown their hats in the ring this election season. Let's take a look. So on the left, current Attorney General Bob Ferguson continues to top the polls. On the right, Dave Reichert leads the Republican candidates, but Simi Bird is dividing the party as he was the one endorsed by the state's GOP back in April. KREM 2 spoke with Michael Ritter, an assistant professor of political science at Washington State University, who says more moderate Republicans have a better shot in the gubernatorial race.
But I would say that Washington, being a very solidly Democratic state and with a substantial percentage of independent voters, I think even Republican figures have to be mindful of the moderate center of the Washington state population.
Also not seeking another term is longtime incumbent for Washington's 5th Congressional District, Kathy McMorris Rogers. The 5th Congressional District encompasses all of eastern Washington's counties, including Spokane, Walla Walla, and Whitman counties, and many more. There are 11 candidates running for Rogers' seat. Michael Baumgartner and Jacqueline Maycomer are the frontrunners for the Republicans. Spokane City Council member Jonathan Bingle also has his name in the hat in the race. On the left, Bernadine Bank and Carmilla Conroy lead for the Democrats. Ritter says even if a leader emerges in the pre-election polls, races for open seats actually tend to be more competitive.
It's likely to stay in the Republican category, so to speak, but open elections tend to be very competitive and lead to the possibility that maybe there will be a change in party representation.
Now, 3 candidates have emerged for the Washington State 4th Congressional District. This includes longtime incumbent Dan Newhouse, Jared Sessler, and Tiffany Smiley, who are all running to represent Central Washington, which includes Grant and Okanogan counties. Newhouse has served the district since 2015. Sessler has the official endorsement of the Washington State GOP and former President Donald Trump. And Smiley ran against U.S. Senator Patty Murray for her Senate seat last election cycle. Now, according to the Washington Secretary of State, as of Friday evening, just over 5% of people ages 18 to 24 had voted.
Our Seattle station spoke to voters this weekend in that age bracket.
Generations are definitely more outspoken, so that surprises me that we're more quiet in the voting sense.
By contrast, in the 65 and over age group, more than 32% had returned their ballots by last Friday. The age bracket below that, which is 45 to 64, is the next highest turnout so far. But it is possible that many voters, especially in the younger age groups, will still turn out. Again, ballots that are postmarked by today will be accepted, but if you have not already mailed yours, the U.S. Postal Service recommends using one of the drop boxes. And since the day that you got a Washington ballot, you were able to mail it in or drop it off at one of the boxes in your county.
Now, if you haven't dropped yours off just yet, don't worry, there is still time to do so. So voters need to have their ballot postmarked or in a ballot drop box by 8 o'clock tonight. On your screen right now is a list of a few of those drop-off locations that are here in Spokane County. So whether you're using an official county drop box or USPS box, you need to check the last pickup time on that box. And a reminder that you don't need to have a postage stamp when using a ballot drop box. For a full list of those drop box locations, you can go to our website at KREM.com.
And then make sure to watch KREM 2 News tonight 10 at 10 and at 11 for the latest results for Washington's primary. And then tomorrow we will have complete primary election results right here on Up with KREM from 5 to 7 a.m. on KREM 2 and from 7 to 9 a.m. on KSKN 22.
And of course, if you would like more information about today's primary, text us the word election to our number 509-448-2000. We'll send you a link with all of that information right to your phone.
It is 6:08 as we take you outside. A very pleasant and mild morning. No cloud cover whatsoever. Not tracking any rain or storms as of this morning. In fact, all that action appears to have moved off to the north and east. There was actually some pretty intense thunderstorms over Alberta, especially in Calgary, where there was quite the hailstorm from yesterday. But that is way out of the way, isn't it? Today, just very pleasant and overall calmer weather. 92 degrees our high temperature, only a few degrees above average, and it looks like that's where it will stay for the rest of the week.